2:19 yesterday afternoon, Nelson Chamisa, the former CCC president, resigned from CCC. And then let's just read part of his letter there that he tweeted. Fellow citizens, this is to officially and under my hand inform you that I, with immediate effect, will no longer have anything to do with CCC. My focus remains fully on Zimbabwe, asserting your victory, honoring citizens' mandate, and God's calling to provide leadership. So today on the show, we're talking about that. Chamisa quits CCC. What are your reactions? You know, man, I've been seeing many different things on Twitter, WhatsApp. People talking about different scenarios. What will happen now? Will other MPs and councillors resign as well and join the new movement or whatever Chamisa is going to form? Will they resign? What happens if they resign from parliament, from councils? It's quite interesting. Those being raised by people there on different platforms.
And some are asking what happens to the party symbol, the regalia, everything that was branded with his face, and what happens to CCC as a party? Is this the end of CCC? There are so many questions, but please do request the mic this morning and share with us your reactions, your views, and your comments. And please, guys, I know some are not so happy, some are angry. Let's remember to be civil, have a constructive discussion. Let us not use hate speech or insult each other and all that.
Yeah, but no one saw this coming. A few days ago, there was issue of the alternative dance that Australia was tweeting about. And then to this day, we saw the tweet coming from Nelson Chamisa. I saw him again on News from Africa speaking about the same thing, saying, why did he quit in terms of politics, in terms of not politics, in terms of CCC? It's quite interesting. There was coming through in terms of, just look at some of the comments that I saw under his tweet there. Some of the MPs again that we know, Joanna Mamombe, here, they've also said we're going to follow him wherever he goes. So it's quite interesting to see in the coming few weeks and few days what will happen to those MPs and other councillors who are in parliament and local authority. Are they going to follow Chamisa where he goes? Or some will remain in parliament, some will remain in council. We'll wait to see what will happen there as they make forward the new steps. Good morning, Champion John.
How are you? How are you, Brighton? How are you, Aisha?
What's your reaction to CCC? Chamisa quitting CCC?
I don't have any reaction, but what I can say is that in life we all have to know one thing, right? I think each and everything has got its owner. So when the owner is saying this is mine, yeah, it shows who is who, because we all want to know reality, why ZANU-PF has changed the narrative of illegitimacy. I think I have said this before to say the issue that we have is illegitimacy in the past elections. So that's the matter that is at stake right now. The rest of what we are dealing with, yes, of course, he just left CCC because we all know where an imposter came from, right? So the important thing that is here is for us now to see what is the imposter and that candidate from Blawa going to do, because those are the ones who chose, instead of being them, to say, you know what, for the integrity sake, we can't engage in this thing and we don't even want the money that you are going to dish to us. But what happens? Or what happened after? The imposter came, the imposter was enjoying, right? His or his shelf life. So this is to see where is the imposter going to go. Let's see where the imposter now is going to start from. I know that some they may try to say, oh, but this and that. No. You know what? In life, there are only two things. Whether you become you or you become used. The only thing that we all, as Zimbabweans, if you want to have integrity, even from now, is to be realistic and look into ourselves and say, you know what? If we want to be people, the first thing is to have integrity. Then it will end everything. But we have seen the imposter trying to do things. Oh, some people even conducted interviews. Who appointed, I just seen that, you know what, there was this and that. Now, this is the time. The time to know who is who. The time to know who is doing what. Right? To the MPs and councillors, this is their time to choose. You have got two choices. Do you want to go with nonsense or you want to go with real things? Do you have got morals or you don't have? Because the moment you don't have morals, what needs to happen? You follow the money. I don't think, to me, money is important. What is important is for everyone to see how my integrity looks like, how my morals looks like. So at this point, we are now dealing with morals and lack of morals. So it's a chilling thing. Can I say it's a chilling event where you see those who are there to save Zimbabwe and those who are there not to save Zimbabwe but to save their stomachs. So if you are there for stomach, continue to ride on a wave that you don't know when it will end. Right? If you are for the people and if you are there for the furtherance of the people's lives, what needs to happen? Resign and leave this. I know that we had a moment in time where people were saying, can these MPs resign whatsoever? Some MPs were even coming out and saying, you know what? I am not going to resign because I have got this reason and this reason. I do not mention the reasons, but some people, they know what they were after. Let them and let it be. And we want to see. That's why we are here. We are the judges. Remember, politics is about the people. Politics is not about the elite. Politics is not about the illegitimate people who impose themselves on the people. It's now about the people, distribution of resources equitably, right? So if that is the matter, let's see who is there for the people and let's see who is not there for the people. And now, this is the time. The time has been afforded to you to judge. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much, Champion, for that contribution this morning. Guys, we're asking you what your reactions to Chamisa quitting CCC. What's the way forward from you guys? What do you want to see going forward? Over to you, my co-host this morning.
Yeah, quite interesting what Champion John is speaking about, to say, this is the time to see who's who and where they stand. And, speaking about the timing as well, I saw people commenting to say, no, this is the right time for Chamisa to quit. And some were saying, no, he should have done that a long time ago. A whole lot of reactions. Please do request the mic this morning, guys. We also want to hear your reactions to Chamisa quitting CCC. So let's hear from Kaki Jobs. Good morning.
Kwakuba, good morning.
Good morning, Nonsansa and Brighton. I know I don't have anything more to say, but what I can say is I think Ubabu Chamisa has done the right thing, and it was overdue. It was overdue. He had no control over this party anymore because ZANU-PF was taken over it. So I think he will rise up. He rised up from zero to build up that CCC. So I think now he will rise up again to build whatever is going to form now. So I think people still believe, and we are still believing, Chamisa is the right person to lead us. We will follow him. We will do from scratch. We did everything from scratch before. So nothing, we've got time now. We've got 4 or 5 years to build up this thing. So we don't have to worry. What we have to do now is to focus. We'll start afresh. So I'm going with Kona. Let's see now what Tshabangu is going to do with that CCC. now he has all the control because or something. Let him do whatever he wants. That's fine, and we will see. Let's take it from there. Siyabonga.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your views there, Kwakuba, this morning. Moving on, okay.
Also, maybe as you try to talk about these reactions on Chamisa quitting CCC, I'm asking myself, what then happens to the MPs who are in Parliament now under CCC? What then happens to the councillors who are in Parliament, who are in local authority under CCC? Will they resign? Will the resignation, some of them fail, not resign? Some of them, the ones who want to be in Parliament, what will happen to those MPs and councillors? Let's move on to the next speaker. The Good Morning Democratic Alternative in Zimbabwe. Democratic Alternative, please do go ahead.
Yeah, greetings, family. The decision that was made by our champion-in-chief, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, is definitely right. Once, let's say you are married to a woman, but you are no longer in control of she can even come to home, you cannot even say any, you are not even allowed to complain. I'm no longer satisfied with this. The best thing that you can do, just find separation papers from the courts, because that's definitely what you're supposed to do. Right. My MPs are loyal to Advocate Nelson Chamisa. There is only one way. Yes, they can even resign through social media on their platforms. I stand with Nelson Chamisa, I can do this. But the right way is to follow each and every step that the president is going to narrate or to say. And the parliament, no charities or people, do they mean whatever they were saying? Or they will choose to follow their jobs. I think that's all I can say.
Well, thank you so much, Democratic Alternative in Zimbabwe, for that comment. Yeah, quite interesting as well, what you spoke to. I think it's Champion John actually who spoke to that, to say we'll see who's who and where they stand. But yeah, let's hear more from other speakers. Any other comments, Brighton?
I just read a few comments there on the comment section this morning. Just if you scroll a bit there, and someone says imposter supporters are scattering, and then someone says Zimbabwe politics is nonsense. Okay, let's move on. Someone says fresh start for Zimbabweans without divisions. Let's move on to the next speaker there this morning. Good morning, native son of Bulawayo. Native son of Bulawayo, good morning.
Amavuko for it out siyabonga ithuba lokuthi sikhulume ngelathi nje siphawule kulolu daba. It's very much tricky. One would say a very good move, but the other one would say then what happens to the rest of the others? We talk of MPs, we talk of councillors, to say what happens to them then. I bet we might have a communication from the camp itself to say this is the step in terms of those who were elected under the banner of CCC, those who will remain, those who will go. We are still yet to get such information from the concerned individuals to say what happens there. I hope this is an opportunity, to close the gaps that were left open at a time when Advocate Nelson Chamisa was leading the CCC, and how this is that time where you create something solid, something that is, cannot be shaken by just, mere surrogates who are sponsored by the regime, of course. And truth be told, Tshabangu ubesibambe ngamasende and wabamba ngebhinti.
Native son.
Sorry about that.
Special language, please. Special language,
all right. which is in very explicit in most of the time. But ubesibambile. Esibambe kanjalo wasqueeza, and there was no other way. There was no other way that we could have said this could have done or not. It was a long overdue move because there was nothing left. When you are no longer in control of the own party that you are said to be the president of, the only way is to hit the exit door. But mind you now, Tshabangu is now left with a car without an engine. Everything else that happens is now being on him to say, we want to see your car moving now that you have, that the engine that you were complaining about is no longer there. What you gonna do? Are you gonna find another engine to move the car, or are you also going to abandon the car yourself? It's now also a tricky part on him. Yes, Tshabangu won, but now again, it comes on him to say, we want to see now what becomes of CCC. But then one will also say, looking at it, he does not even care whether the party that he is now in charge of becomes something within the political podium. For him, it was all about blocking this man called Chamisa from controlling the party. So now that he is gone, I think the job is done and dusted, and it's never gonna be about making it work again, because truth be told, whether we like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, there is no CCC in the public opinion without Chamisa. You can have CCC in paper, you can have CCC in courts, you can have CCC in whatsoever, but the moment that man exits, not to glorify him or whatsoever, but the moment he exits, he leaves you with ukhezu olungenalutho, usala logebhezu nje kuphela. Otherwise he has left with the whole part of it. But we would want to see what happens now. What move is he gonna take next? Obviously we have seen indications in Pauzo so the democratic alternative to being the next party for Advocate Nelson Chamisa. They've given us hints there. It's not official yet, but that might be the course of events that comes through, and which is why I'm saying that it will be a chance to actually rewrite what the mistakes within CCC, and correct what have been led to what happens to CCC. Now the MPs again, I honestly think that the only way now is to resign and show us boldly that this was not just about a mere job in parliament, that they really mean what they say when they say they stand with that man, and not out of satisfying us, but out of coming through and showing that truly these people that they have a place to stand on. Now the only way is to exit the parliament and councils. But then on the councils again, for some of us, we might still have equal, because a man or like David Coulthard, who has been working, that means to say you will have to resign, and that will take us back. But hey, it is all part of politics. But then we are worried again. We would say, what happens to Coulthard now? To some of us and other MPs who are working hard. So that means we have to take 10 steps back again. But if it means 10 steps back so that we can take 50 steps more, then I believe that it will be a necessity for everyone to pull out and then come back at a stronger and at a more cohesive form of way, other than what is happening now, where everything else is happening haphazardness. But again, ngiyabonga mfowethu, ake ngiyivale vela.
Well,
Well, thank you so much, Native Son of Lion, for sharing with us your views and comments this morning. I'm seeing some comments there. Dr. Ngwenya says, should people be loyal to Chamisa or they should be loyal to citizens and fight for a better Zimbabwe? Loyalty to the individual, it's what creates what we have today in Zimbabwe. And David says the MPs will decide what they want. If another party is going to be formed, all the power must be to the people. No leader must have the power to recall without the people from the constituencies. It has to be their decision too. A constitution needs to deal with that.
Right, guys, for just joining us this morning, we're talking about Chamisa quitting CCC. What are your reactions to that? Want to hear your thoughts around that and the way forward to that. Will MPs and councillors resign as well? Please do request a mic this morning. Want to hear your thoughts around that? Let's go to Timothy. Timothy, good morning. Timothy, good morning. All right, let's move on to another speaker. Good morning.
Good morning, Sir Linjani. My comment is that well done, Chamisa, for making your decision. I think it was important for him as the leader of the party to be clear on his position and where he stands. Ngathola ithuba lokubala istatement yakhe. And I think for laba kade beyilandela ipolitiki ukuthi what was happening, he pretty much regurgitated izinto ekade sizibona zisenzakala. It's I think obviously the understanding of the statement depends on which side you stand, but otherwise it was very much intertwined ukuthi bese kungasela mehlukano between i-CCC lezanu PF nxa ngibala. On the only thing that he spoke of on the way forward was only one paragraph, number 68. Yikho kuphela akhulume nge-way forward. But otherwise everything nje ayikhulumileyo ku statement ibitshengisela ukuthi khona where we've gotten to and why he got to that decision. It makes sense. It's just unfortunate nje ukuthi uthethe isikhathi eside to decide on that. And I think kuyatshengisela vele ukuthi as a people, as voters, we have choices. As party leaders, they also have choices on what to do. And he's done what he's done. Should the people continue to believe in him, why not? He's your leader, you believe in his objectives, you believe that he will find a way forward. Hambanini lai. And I think at another time there's people that believe in him, there's people that are willing to put imali behind him, that he has leadership initiatives. And I think laba bamthandayo abamkholwayo, they really shouldn't give up hope on their leader. Kunje sonke sizama ukudinga umuntu ozavuselela iZimbabwe asikwazi ukuthi uvela ngaphi, and most of us feel like that. We don't know where our leader will come from, but what we know we want is that change should come and change should happen, and I think people shouldn't give up on that hope. Asikwazi kumbuza sukela eZanu, kumbuza sukela ku-CCC, kumbuza sukela kwamanye ama-gatherings, but esikwazi ukuthi things should get better. And isifiso sabantu abaningi, and I think ama-voters amaningi bafuna ukuthi izinto zikhanye kuhle. And Chamisa quitting CCC is unfortunate, but it was pretty much predictable ngendlela izinto kade sesihamba ngazo. Imali bisithethwe. And I think okunye futhi ukuthi ama-MPs, they do have a decision to make, and I think we need to see their understanding of politics now. Laba sebehlezi ezihlalweni, we now need to see how do they understand politics. Kumbe sokuyikudla kwabo nje, kumbe vele sebekhangela umsebenzi, and I think that part now really needs to be clear. Otherwise, the party itself can always elect another leader to lead CCC. Nxa kuyikuthi bazahlala kule ndlela zabo vele amaphathi abayenza ngazo izinto. But for now, siyakwazi ukuthi as ama-Zimbabweans, there's still so much change that's going to happen, and we should continue to hold steadfast. The storm is not over, I don't believe. Nyabo.
Well, thank you so much, Mapoto, for that comment this morning. Quite interesting as well, what you're raising there. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, Matthew. What's your reaction to Chamisa quitting CCC?
Well, that's. I think it's a good move, considering that it has been long time without seeing Advocate Nelson Chamisa making those political moves for the last term, and I think it speaks to us to say the situation that he found himself in was just untenable, where you have people who are making decisions that actually doesn't represent you, but on your behalf, and they still speak to you to say you are our leader. So it was, I think it was a mere situation of hostage. You were being hostage, and you can't, you don't know how to say I'm not like this. So I think the best way to do it is like what we do when we farm cover. You know, when we farm cover, if the stems are infected with worms, then you then have to cut them off and make them transplant them again. You know, so I think it's a good approach to me. I think we also hope to see some of these people who really felt like the leadership. Advocate Nelson Chamisa was an obstacle to the collectivism that they always preach. I think it's an opportunity for us to also, for Zimbabweans at large, to benefit from that. So it's a good move. I think it allows us to, as the Zimbabwean citizens, to benefit much from the leadership skills that are within the opposition circles. Because many people, I think, many who were in CCC would have said, no, we can't do this because of Nelson Chamisa. Now that he has been on the side, I think it's an opportunity for them to also showcase what they have for Zimbabweans, for the greater democracy of our country, whilst we are hoping to see what's the next steps of Advocate Nelson Chamisa. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Matthew, for that contribution this morning. Guys, if you're just joining us, talking about and Matthew, try to mute your mic. Right, talking about Chamisa quitting CCC, they want to hear your reactions to that. Please do request the mic this morning. Try to be brief because of many speakers that are queued up to speak this morning. Let's move on to Carlos. Good morning, Carlos, this morning. We're going to come to you, Sindo. Wait a bit.
Yeah, I have spoken to them, but that's the minute. I will never say about so they could have up all right, and come is yeah, thank you. Yazi ukuthi ngithi ngifundisa into lapha engiyibukayo kule nkulumo esidigitala. Kunabanye bethu abathi it was long overdue, kunabanye abathi right. Ngithi ngifundise lokhu ukuthi for me it is good that he did now. Ngoba kube washesha. I-ground ngalesiya sikhathi yayivuma ukuthi athole insolo eziningi whoever obekanga ngaye athole chance. But this is now happening after the opposition ye-CCC within CCC ithe yona ifilled abantu, and a lot of seats are handed over, given as a gift to ZANU-PF. So right, ukuthi lapha mangisithi kule infiltration, proof is with everyone. Ukuthi abone ukuthi awukathi ngani nangu lokho kuyinto mpela abantu bonke bakhishiwe. Phela undoda kusadala leya kwaChabangu yathi yona hayi sifuna ukulungiswa kwaMoshe. So becabanga ukuthi mayikhipha umuntu endaweni kukhona emfaka, kukhona engazange ifilde khona iZANU-PF yathola ama-gift ku-silver plate. That was enough ukuthi wonke umuntu abone ukuthi lapha kunobugebengu. Enye into esibili engiyibuka engiyilindileyo ukuthi okay, now that Chamisa says he has quit the CCC, ubani ozavuma ukuthatha isalo esitainted ngalolu hlobo manje? Ngoba phela sivumeni madoda ukuthi i-CCC ikhona. Ngizwile omunye ngabona umfoka baba uSanu Bulawayo unative ethi khona isekho. I agree with that element. Let's also have this other one ethi yona ikhona i-triple C uOstalos usasengu-vice spokesperson angithi ukhwithelo wathi sengihamba umkhwanazi u-organize usasenguSibani bonke labantu basasekhona ikhona i-triple C nalokana abakubiza i-National Council of what angazi bayibiza bathi ikhona ngubani ozavuma ukuthatha i-office after the man has quit. Lokho ngilinde ngamehlo abo ukubona ukuthi kwenze njani. Maybe esithathu ke ngihlala phansi kulale ukuthi ama-MPs enze njani. Nami nengisalindile impela ukubona ukuthi bazokwenza kanjani. Kodwa nginento ethi zimbili izinto. Ngiyayibuza ukuthi ma uresigna umthetho uthini? Ke nisitholele wemfokaNcube ukuthi umthetho uthini ma uresignile and then sokudeclare i-by-election and you contest again. Lento ngeke ithole i-court challenge yini na anything around. Ike nisithole nabazi umthetho mpela babe bazoyixoxa into leyo ukuthi ngoba ubuke phela la ngo-2022 i-MDCA yaba nabaphumayo bacontesta beyi-triple C bayekho. Ngiyakuzwa lokho. But lapha ke isimo sithini ngoba phela khanye ngani kuhamba kube nomthetho emithi esingayaziyo isimo lesi you can't predict. Bangaresigna kuvukele ukuthi idoes mayizobe idoes babe sebebuyela back beyiba baresigneyo babhala phansi incwadi bayihenda in. Sithini isimo ngokomthetho? Okwesibili bangahlala because I believe there is a duration, there is a certain period ebakhona ungahlala unga-attend i-parliament. Unga-attend i-parliament then by default of not attending uyakhishwa. Which one is best between the two? Ngicabanga ukuthi legal minds are needed on this one. Ungaresigna, what are the effects? Ungahlala uzukhishwe ukuthi awu-attendanga ama-parliament sittings. What will be the effects? Ngoba singagijimela ukuthi baresign. Is it working for the cause or not? Kwenzakalani la? Yabo nginombuzo mpela kodwa ngicabanga ukuthi singayixoxa la kodwa bengizafisa ukuthi mhlawumbe lina njengaba-host ike liyodinga a legal mind lixoxe indaba around that. Maybe sibuze along those lines. Ake ngehle ngobonda ngiyizele namagwanda lapha eplazini likaMveruvuthi. Ngiyayibonga.
Carlos, for that. Yeah, important questions raised there as well. Please do request the mic and for those who also want to answer Carlos as well. Now let's move on to Tindo. So, good morning.
Yes. Okay, thanks. Guys, for the opportunity. Okay, so for me, I think once again, this move by Chamisa has displayed what has been said about him all this time, I think Chamisa has got a self-centered leadership style. Yeah, so everything about his whole I would say his whole work around this formation has been about it is all centered around the person of Chamisa. I don't see in his approach a leadership. I don't see in his approach an organizational view. I think everything is about him. So maybe to give to a little bit further, to use the current situation, you'd find that right now people are talking about MPs having to choose between following Chamisa or remaining in the current CCC formation. Now my question is, were they ever consulted? Was there ever any deliberation around this issue before Chamisa did what he did? So to me, it goes on to show that for him, I think it's just about what he wants, what he thinks, and everybody else has to toe a line. And this is what has been said about Chamisa all this time, and he clearly displays that in this decision of his, because I don't think all these MPs and his team were part of the process of deciding this or making this decision that Chamisa made. So that's the first. Me, I think it just shows what confirms what has been said all this time about the style of Chamisa and how he approaches his whole political discourse. Now, the second thing is that for me, I think this has also confirmed to me that Chamisa is always a fear of internal processes, because I think most of the problems that are being highlighted about some of the challenges that the organization has been facing, they could have just been solved by maybe a collective view, maybe something like a Congress. People have been talking about a Congress, just people coming together and having a common position on issues. So now, a simple Congress could have just resolved most of this. But what are we seeing? We're just seeing him just making a personal decision again, which affects everyone. And now people are being made to toe a certain line to make a choice. You have to choose between Chamisa and I don't know, but it's just for me, just to conclude what I'm saying, if he goes ahead and starts another formation, whatever, another party, I'm not sure what he wants to do in his future. But if he goes again with the same attitude, then I can assure you, we are still going to come back to the same position, because I don't think a political party should be run on personal emotions. It shouldn't be run on mutungamiri ari kuti chii chichuzai kuti muri kuda here zvangu kana kuti muri kuda zvani. It sounds to me like it's just tingachiko ka affair, some affair, some romantic affair or something, where leadership questions are being asked. Somebody has to ongopedzera kungoita decisions anongoenderana nema-feelings ake, so to speak. So for me, it just confirms most of what has been said about Chamisa. He is self-centered. It's just about Chamisa, and I can even hear a lot of people here maybe just confirming that view. Then you're in for it, and, So I think if he continues with the same attitude, sorry to say, there's nothing that is going to give us. There's nothing new that is going to come out of this Chamisa thing if he continues with the same attitude.
Well, thanks so much, Tindo, for that contribution. Guys, let's just go through some of the comments. Guys, let's try to be brief in terms of our submissions. We have many speakers queued up to speak this morning. The first comment says, the politics of the stomach should never be allowed. So far, the scoring is citizens 0. The question is questionable and change is still possible. We continue to watch this space. And someone says, let's just scroll there. Or they should be loyal to citizens and fight for a better Zimbabwe. Loyalty to individual is what creates what we have today in Zimbabwe. And someone says MPs should stay put and fight for the party. CCC was funded by ordinary citizens and they volunteered their time and resources. We can't just kalala everything and let Tshabangu eat from where he didn't sow. And then last one says there's a difference between a celebrity and a leader. That's the last comment I'm going to read there. Let's move on to Njabulo. Good morning, Njabulo.
Good morning, Brighton and Nonsansa. It's quite Zimbabwean politics. Kuhlala kukuningi akuphela kweZimbabwe, and it shows the environment. This is a proof of the environment of where we are as Zimbabweans. But also going back, sometimes we can comment from the top, we just scoop from the top and we don't go deep into the underlying issues and become realistic about the situation which is there. Remember, when you go back to the formation of CCC, you need to also go back and treat it as an offshoot that came out from MDC Alliance, which was also MDC Alliance. It was a bunching together of different political parties that had different leaders, as to say. So you'll find that when you form an organization like a political party, some of us, we might want to take it as simple as ABCD, but when you look at the formation even of MDC in 99, it was bunched together it was a bunch of different organizations. Remember, there was ZCTU, there was also students unions, there was also other workers union that came in, and there were also churches there that came in and brought in their people and their different leaders. So it was the same when you look at CCC. Remember, it was a formation of you had the likes of Welshman Ncube that came from MDC, and their influence based in MDC. Then you had PDP by BT. Then you had MDCT. You know where Chamisa came from. So these become an effect as time goes on, because if you don't centralize or bring everyone in to hold one vision, this is why Tshabangu had power and influence. It was not that he was not deriving his power from the centralized or from the proper way, but he was deriving his power from the fragments that came in to form CCC. That's where he was deriving his power from. And this is why you find other people were not being vocal when things were going wrong. So this, to me, I feel the Chamisa move, if he's going out and he's going to form his formation, he needs to be cognizant of what has just happened, and how power, you could be in a position without power, or you could be in power, you could have power without a position. And we've seen it happen in that Tshabangu was not in that authoritative position, but he had power to recall, he had power to make things stop. So where was Tshabangu deriving his power from? This is the question. And what is making Chamisa to move? I think it's a good idea and it's a good move, and it's good time for him to do so that he can go and form a party that is united by the vision, and it's moving in unison, and it's so that it can achieve the intended goals. Because currently, under the vehicle of CCC, we are seeing that it's fragmented. Everyone, other people are pulling from the left, others are pulling from the right, and it's not achieving the intended goals. This is why we hear Tshabangu coming out on other interviews and saying, no, I'm responsible for the double candidate under the general that we got Guma general elections, which tells me that this issue that Tshabangu is an issue that did not start yesterday. It's an issue that has been there, that there was no consolidation and there was no proper agreement to say we are going to move as one vehicle and we are going to execute ABCD. You see, so I feel with Chamisa, I'm very happy that he has decided to do what he did, and he has to be resolute and have the strength to say, let me go out there and let me form a new political party that is going to characterize, or that is going to resemble his vision, so that he can achieve his intended goals as a leader. Because once you try to form coalitions, they are very hectic. You can check everywhere in the world. They are very hectic because everyone still wants to maintain their level of influence and power even when they are under you. Yet they are supposed to consolidate that power and give it to you so that you can drive the vision forward. But anyway, we will see the direction that is going to take. But to me, I'm happy that it started now. Thank you so much, Nonhlanhla and Brighton, for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much, Njabulo, for coming through and sharing your thoughts and views this morning. Quite interesting as well. Points that you're raising there this morning.
Yeah, let's move on to the next speaker there. Xolani, good morning, Xolani. We seem not to hear you, Xolani. Maybe try to move to a better spot where there's network. We can't hear you from our end. Let's move on to Not Colite. Good morning, Not Colite.
Good morning, Brighton. Good morning, Nonhlanhla. side and everyone else in the space. Anyway, I will just be brief. I think we all need to understand that this is not about an individual, but it is about Zimbabwe. It is about the suffering person down in Engungumbane, someone who's suffering, who doesn't know where to put their next meal or to get their next meal from, someone who doesn't even have money to pay for their kids to go to school, someone whose education has been cut short because we need to understand where that the people of Zimbabwe are actually in trouble and they are actually suffering. And politically, there is a big leadership vacuum because those who are in power actually don't really care about the suffering people on the ground. They don't care about much. All they care about is what they have, what they can get, and consolidating their power. So to say that Chamisa is actually egoistic, I think that's an understatement. The guy, I think he knows what the people want, and that's why the people love him, because they resonate with his idea. It is just an idea that he has, and he sold it to the people. And those who believe in that idea will always follow him. So, with considering whatever has been happening, with the Tshabangu wielding, given the power to wield the axe left, right, and center, he is not campaigning. He doesn't even have those leadership qualities. He can't even lead. We haven't seen him coming out and, I think he's done the right thing. Everyone is saying Chamisa is a dictator. Where did he do the dictatorship? Was he a leader of what country? In what year? The guy hasn't been a president of a country. And if people say he's been a dictator, where did he do that dictatorship? Where did he practice it? I think we need to understand. Those who hate him, just hate him for who he is, but he is loved by many because he's fighting for the poor, the very poor who don't have the power. Because of those who control the political will or the political power of the people. Anyway, I'll just end there with the words, those who want to remain, they can remain, and those who want to go, they can follow. Thank you, Said. Thank you, Patron and Nonsense.
Well, thank you so much, Not Golide. Let's hear from. Okay.
Yeah, maybe as we go to Mlungis, I wanted to ask Mlungis on the issue of now going forward, what will happen? As Mlungis is a political analyst, right? As we go forward, what will happen to the CCC members of Parliament who are in Parliament? What will happen to the CCC councillors who are in council chambers right now? To Mlungis, what will happen to those? Will they resign? Will we have a fresh election? What will happen there, Mlungis?
Morning, Brighton, morning, Nonhlanhla, morning, everyone. I'm not sure what will be the best way out, the best way forward for the CCC MPs and councillors. I'm not sure what they are going to do, but as it stands, what I can only say is that Chamisa did the right thing to say that he is quitting CCC, because remember, at the moment he cannot recall anyone. But Tshabangu can recall people willy-nilly. So what Chamisa did was a good thing, because at the end of the day, people want to hold Chamisa accountable for the actions that are being done by his people. But at the same time, everyone knows that Chamisa is powerless because his party has been snatched from him by Tshabangu. So what he did was actually a good thing. But at the same time, we are going to have a problem, because it shows that our politics is centered around individuals or leaders. If Chamisa as a person did well, but now we're having a problem because the MPs and the councillors, if they thought that everyone knew all along that Tshabangu is already succeeded in what snatching that part. So if they are only going to resign now because Chamisa has left the party, that is a problem, because these people were supposed at least to have fought. Of course, once in a while we saw some of them like Mahere and others always emphasizing that they were standing with Chamisa. But we are having a problem with the general order number of MPs, because they were not there when Chamisa was facing problems. When ZANU-PF was taking that part away from, instead of fighting on his corner, everyone was now concerned about self-preservation, which is also a problem, because it's a sign of that these people are opportunists who are also waiting to say, we know that Chamisa is likely to win, the next election saw the best things for me to now align with him. What we want to see is to see these MPs and councillors fighting for Chamisa, even if they know the risks that are involved. For example, look at what Stalos and others did. They were always clear that they were going to stand with Chamisa, even if it meant that Tshabangu was going to recall him, even if it meant that Tshabangu was going to bar them from campaigning or contesting using the party name.
Well, thank you so much, Lungisi, for coming through and sharing your views and thoughts as well. I'm seeing a comment there. Good Kind says, no one is coerced to follow Chamisa. Remember that when Monzora was on fire, there were MPs that remained with MDC alliance. Chamisa simply said, I'm leaving. Why are we pointing guns at the men? How many parties did Umdalawe to form on the road to freedom?
Quite interesting contribution coming there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another speaker. I see you have been joined by another speaker, Rachel. Is it Rachel? Rachel Mushure. Good morning. Good morning, Rachel. All right. Let's move on to another speaker there this morning. Semi Shianga. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, sir. I just want to comment on your question that you asked about what's going to happen to the MPs and the councillors. Yesterday, we had a space on Twitter, and an MP, a councillor, former Triple C councillor came up, and then they said that a caucus, I don't know which town it is, but they said we are 10 of us. We are already resigning today, meaning tomorrow, today. Okay. So the effects of this is that there's going to be a power vacuum in the seats in the government administrations, in the seats from council level to the parliament level. It's quite clear that people are saying the Triple C politics was a politics of one-man leadership. It's not one-man leadership. It is the people who gave power to Chamisa. Chamisa was voted by over 1 million people, and as a result, the decision that he makes are representing those 1 million people. That is what they want, because it's a democracy. So in the going back to the question of what is going to happen to the MPs, I'm a bit disappointed with some of the MPs that came out saying they now work with Chamisa, they're now following Chamisa. There's some form of like betrayal, if I may say. There's some form of like opportunism there, because when Chamisa was being was being disseminated by Tshabangu, when he was being harassed and abused, they seemed to be quiet. They seemed to hold their office. They didn't even want to. They were told not to go to parliament when they know that their leader was defeated. They went to parliament nonetheless, isn't it? So we may argue that there is a bit of optimism there. Some people were waiting to see what Chamisa would do, then they follow because they know that he's got the numbers. But going forward, in the event that we saw that there are already MPs who were saying we're going to join Chamisa, right? So by default, those seats are now vacant. The moment they renounce Triple C, the constitution says they are no longer members of that political party. So by default, the speaker, without any written consent from those individuals, he has a right to call for a by-election on that ground alone, because they already renounced that they are no longer members of that political party which they are representing. So we expect a by-election or a mini general election from council level to the parliament level. But one thing I want to note on Tshabangu's Triple C, it's going to be exposed that he didn't have the numbers behind him, because he doesn't have the capacity to hold a Congress. Even if he holds a Congress, you are going to see that it's not going to be more than 100 people to attend that Congress. It's going to be a sham. It's going to be embarrassment. A Congress of less than 50 people. You will see it in the media. You have heard it from me, because I know that he doesn't have followers. There are no followers there. People are not going to come from all over the country and say we're going to follow Tshabangu. There is no charisma there. And you also saw that the interim steering committee comprises of people from Matabeleland. I have nothing wrong with people from Matabeleland, but I think it does not represent the entire cultural and diversity of the people of Zimbabwe. The steering committees seem to be something that was just handpicked from people who wanted to have their own way in a party. So we're all waiting for by-elections now. The problem with ZANU-PF, they're shooting themselves in the foot. They overdid it. They wanted to destroy the opposition and create a one-party state, but they have overdone it now, to the point that they are not even feeling the effects. they themselves. Yesterday, if you saw a Herald post, that Herald was saying that the United States has withdrawn from the debt recovery talks. So, the international community is also reacting to the persecution of opposition. The debt recovery talks are an important tool when it comes to international funding. So Zimbabwe is actually, reversing all the gains that were made from Sibusiso Moyo's engagement since the time of the new Second Republic. So as a result, if Zimbabwe is not part of the international community, there's no access to funding. They are not going to get funding because the parties in the international community are saying there are no balance and checks within your government, within your country. There's no democracy. Even if we give you new funding, what guarantee do we have that there's going to be someone to check and balance your the way your policies, your monetary policies, your financial policies? No. So it's now it was a winner take all, but it seems like everyone is now losing. Even the government has to fork out millions of dollars this year. Those seats cannot remain vacant because whenever there's a by-election, there's a vacuum. The constitution says there should be election within a stipulated period of time. So it's a very short period of time that the government has been given to fork out millions of taxpayers' dollars again for those elections, for those seats to be filled, from council level to the parliament level. So it's like shooting yourself in the foot. So that's my submissions, and I just hope everything turns out well for the new party that Chamisa is going to form, because I'm against one party state. We just need an even playing field. Even if Chamisa does not win, as long as we have an opposition. And most people are saying Chamisa is a one party state, is like a one center of power leadership style. All those people who are in the diaspora, if you look at the parliament that you are, the countries that you are in, there's a balanced democracy. In the United Kingdom, there's a Labour and Conservative. In the United States, there's a Democrats and the Republicans. There's always a balance in politics. But when there's no balance, if there's asymmetrical political landscape, the people suffer. There's no development. There's stagnation in everything. There's corruption. So we need an even playing field. Whether it is ZAPU in power, whether it is CCC, whether it is Free Zim Congress or any other party you may think of, it is healthy to have a balance and a check in any democratic country in the 21st century. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Let's move on to another speaker then. Tate Mdluli, good morning. Mdluli, good morning.
Nonhlanhla, Brighton, and the rest of the viewers. Morning to you all. Yeah, Minanje, I just have a few questions of not just to answer, to ask to a lot of viewers in this space. I think for me, my question number one is, does a leader run away from a difficult situation, especially a situation that he created on his own? And isn't a leader supposed to show consistency, especially when there are problems within maybe his outfit? Why is it that all the time there's always that gateway to running away for this one individual? And who decided to form a party without a constitution and structures? Why then blame other people for your own misdemeanors? And number four, is this guy a leader, a pastor, or a celebrity? Because at times we can't distinguish between the three. And number five, for me, I feel like it's not a question per se, but it's a reaction. I think as a nation, we tend to focus on the wrong end of the stick. How can we be a nation that is on election mode January to December? When are we going to dedicate time to self-development and actually developing the nation? And my concern again is on the fiscus. The fiscus bears the burden of having to periodically finance these by-elections. Where does the money come from? For how long are we going to continue in this cycle? Don't we think there's need for us to actually amend the constitution so that we actually stop these funny things that are happening, because I feel like some people always take the easy way out, and now the state has to bear the burden of someone's own decision because they chose to take the easy way out. I feel like we always focus on the wrong end of the stick. Yes, he quit, but we are not asking ourselves the effects of him quitting and maybe the rest of his cadres are actually following him or not following him. I think for me, that's my major concern. As a nation, we are focused on the wrong end of the stick. I think for me, Nonhlanhla and Brighton, that's all that I can say.
Well, thanks so much, Dr. Mduli, for that contribution this morning. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're wrapping up the space this morning. But I still see many mic requests, but I'm going to give you the mic, one or two, as we wrap up the show this morning. Talking about Chamisa quitting Triple C, what are your reactions to that? Let's go to our next speaker there. Mbuya, good morning.
Good morning, Brighton. Good morning, Nonhlanhla. It's just so funny to think we can pin Chamisa down like that. Chamisa has made a decision. And I believe Zimbabwe in vanhu vanedza kakwana. Asi people vanongodini kunyepera kuzungaira. We can follow what's going on. We see what's going on. We know what's happening. Hapana asiri kuziva. Ungange uchisupporta whoever or you want whoever. But we all know what's happening. Because of kuzungaira kwatiri kuita ikokuku, results why our economy is just gonna go down. Just like tisina kana chinhu. We know exactly. We can follow what's happening. We have been following all these events, and really to say Tshabangu this, Tshabangu that, ndokuzungaira kwacho ikoko. Ndokutotadza kuda kuti vanhu vamire vakamira vakafunga sema-adults, sevanhu vane dzakakwana. You see what has been happening in the courts. You see everything that has been happening. Can you come here and tell us kuti the party asirwa Tshabangu? You wanted Chamisa. They fought ever since before elections. Kuma nominations, everything, they've been fighting to do the right thing. And here they have actually come here and explained kuti CCC yakamira sei. I listened to the MP weku Hans Duveko Sibanda. I listened to what he said when he came on one interview and explained kuti CCC inosebenza sei. Apana organization inenge isina kana CEO kana leader. Anditi Chamisa anga aripo ipapo. Fine, but they were doing things together, and this is not a secret. They came here and said it. So this thing about hey Chamisa Zoti, let him go and have a break, have a breather. People can't. All the space is just Chamisa. Okay, he could be trending, fine, but whether he's trending or not, people are coming here. But we all know what's happening. Whoever is comfortable is just survival of the fittest. What about the rest of the people? What about the masses? They need us. People have lost their voices because they've been suppressed. They've lost their voices. We need to give them their voices back or to speak for them. So, kanat karamba takazungaira like we are doing. We are not going anywhere. Thank you, Site, for giving me this opportunity. Over to you.
Let's be brief. We are way beyond our time. Xolani, good morning.
Good morning to the host. How are you? Hello?
What's your reaction to Chamisa quitting Triple C?
Myself, I say he has just done what exactly he was supposed to do. Because since if you look at the turn of events, I'm just so wondering, because some people, they talk about structures, they talk about the constitution. What I believe is the constitution of a party needs to be adopted at the Congress, of which Triple C
has never had a Congress. But now, going back to the issue of structures, MDC Alliance had structures. Immediately after the elections, they ran into a Congress. And then they had structures of which they were elected in a Congress. But that did not stop recalls. That did not stop the destruction of the party. It went on ahead. And again, coming back to Tshabangu and where does exactly he derive his powers, you will understand that one way or the other, it's only through the proxies of the government where the powers come, because it's exactly from Mudenda. Mudenda was given 2 letters. He refused Chamisa's letter. However, he is the well-known office bearer of CCC, and he accepted a letter from Tshabangu, who came from Norway, which is a clear, something that states clearly what exactly is happening, what exactly is going on. And another thing is that I remember everyone knows that Tshabangu also, they nominated the PR representative to be sworn in Parliament. And the question is, why have those not been sworn in? It's simply because when they went to ZEC, they were not approved. Why? Because they were not signed by the people that were supposed to sign them, but they were coming from Tshabangu, which tells you there is a way and a loophole that was used by Tshabangu to get through, which was through ZANU-PF. Now, people may cry and point fingers at Chamisa and say, Chamisa that, Chamisa this, Chamisa that. What he has done, is just like to prove and show that with what is called the pit of the stomach. Those that went to politics and get into parliament and get into council because they want to feed their stomach are the people that we're going to see right now. Because this is all about representing the masses and representing the people. So if you represent the voice of the people, the voice of the masses, you need to talk their language, talk whatever is it that they want you to say, and represent them with wholly. Don't look at what you're going to gain when you get to parliament. So that's what, like, if you read clearly on his statement, he said, even if the money, take it all, because it's not what, it's not in his ideology. The only thing it's about, coming up with a democratic space, a free space where people are able to live and be in a position to have, a proper space where we can just, express ourselves. So one way or the other, I think that's thumbs up to Chamisa. It was well anticipated. I really expected such to happen because in the first place he said the elections were bogus. He never approved the parliament. He said everything is bogus. So now we have people that wanted to go to parliament. Yes, they went. Here we're in a situation. And now Chamisa says, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this. I'm tired. I said it before. Now I'm quitting the party. People blame Chamisa again. What exactly do we want from this man? What exactly, do we want the men to come and spoon feed us, give us everything? Or as a people, we want to take matters and stand up and fight for what we need to fight for? Because for things to happen, I believe it has to be a collective, a citizen movement. All of us that speak, if we believe he's not doing enough, this space is not blocked. You are not blocked to act. You can stand up and act, pick it and act, so that you can resurrect the people and just bring whatever you think it can be brought. Don't look at Chamisa. He's just an individual like me and you, one way or the other. What do you think he cannot do better? Stand up and do it better. Because you have seen he's not doing better. That's the thing. He does what he can do and what he has to do. Right now, the most important thing, what I'm looking at, it's all about the MPs and the councillors. Those that know exactly what the reason why they're in parliament, they will know what needs to be done because they need to represent the people. They don't have to represent themselves, their stomach, and the gains by being in the townhouse, the gains by being in the parliament. But ensuring that the mandate that was given by the people to them, it is delivered properly. And delivering the mandate, it's not whereby you go into a well that is contaminated and then you want to drink in the same well. Because if you drink in it, you are also going to be contaminated. You are also the same as the same well. So right now, CCC has been contaminated because ZANU-PF is all over it. They are just dismantling it. They wanted to close Chamisa in a corner. But Thanks to the speaker who said talks about the international community's reaction. I think I will say this again because it is very, very much important how we handle our domestic affairs to be in a position to be recognized as a viable society or as a viable state in an international space. If such things just happen, then we will be a laughing stock in an international space. We won't be seen as people that are serious. We won't be recognized. And in such, we will suffer consequences of our own behavior and our own actions. Unless and until all institutions of the government, all arms of the government, they are accountable to the Constitution, they are properly run, they are spaced in a position whereby they can be attested to what they do and the rightful standing of themselves will be called just that. And then we will be recognized internationally. And then whatever it is that we seek as a people, it's something that we'll be in a position to get. Thank you. I think that will be all for now.
Well, thank you so much, Kulani, for that contribution this morning. Guys, we're wrapping up the space now. Let's move on to our last speaker who's going to wrap up the space for us this morning. Apasha, good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I do apologize in case I missed the presentation by Umalume and Dunkala. I think today is one of those days that I'll be looking forward to listen to people that I trust when they explain what this means. Because in English, we're just using this is skojo politics. Yes, skojo kukhulunywa izinzwa bethi there is a lot of emotions involved. Most people are so emotional. Chamisa, which is highly understandable, and I wouldn't comment much about what has happened because I think in the CCC awungeza ke uyilandele usidla ama popcorn because I ran out of my popcorns kumele ndinga uxaka ngoba inde ayiphele. And the only summary that I got elsewhere was that in what Chamisa wrote, he was mainly talking about what ZANU this, ZANU that. To me, thinking I do not foresee him changing much. I would love him with all the things that were identified, were mentioned, that were missing. Ahambe ayozenza tata manos ayenze kuhle, because I want to believe that if ever the new party led by Chamisa wins, it's not only going to benefit it's going to benefit all Zimbabweans. I would love that, but I don't have much trust at the moment because abantu abamlandela, they are just too emotional. I think they refuse to stop and think hard. I'm not saying they're not thinking and think hard. They are just too emotional. Too emotional to defend him. CCC asazimbe uza for many just taking a break or whatever. But I wish him well. But this is going to be an exciting weekend. This is afunda okunenga. So I look forward to those people that will explain to us what it means without putting their emotions. What does it mean? And to even look at the 13 pages to tell us in summary, abanye sachayo teacher ngamaregen, what does that mean? What are we getting from that statement? Thank you.